preacher. It's just actually just coming to church, and I'll support wherever you need me to support. But I know God was calling me to prophesy, but I don't feel like doing that. I know God is calling me to teach, but I don't feel like doing that. I know God is calling me to be a greeter. I know God's calling me to work with children. I know God is calling me to do that. But God, I really don't want to do that because my way seems to be the most sufficient way. Because God, I don't like people, don't want to be around people. I don't want to be told nothing about people. I'm just good right here. But you don't realize that your way is not working. So this is why you come to church, but you're unfulfilled. This is why you come to ministry, but you don't get nothing out of it. And you say, well, I'm trying to feel Jesus. I'm trying to understand God, but I don't get out nothing. But let me tell you something. You never get out what you haven't put in. If you put more in with God, you might get out more from God. But your way seems right. Let me give you another one. You may say, well, I don't like the direction of our family, but I guess this is just the family I have. Really? If your family is not functioning the right way, that means you got to do more. You got to put more into the family. You can't just say, well, I guess this is just the way my family is. If you're convinced that this is just the way your family is and you're not doing anything to improve on it or actually go in a different direction, then that's just the way it's going to be. But if that's the way it's going to be without you making any effort, then why are you complaining? You shouldn't complain about something that you're controlling. I'm going to say that one again. You should not be complaining about something you're controlling. You should only be complaining if you're not controlling it. But if it's your life and it's your way and it's your ministry and it's your time and it's your peace, then why are you complaining about the direction you're going? Ooh, I'm telling you, for time's sake, I got to hurry up. The direction of starting a new business or career, you don't like your financial situation, then get another one. I'm one of those, I'm not scared to do something different. Go back to school. Get some extra on the degree or start up a business or do something. But why complain about your situation if you're not going to do something about it? Oh, I forgot, because your way is the right way. Your way is complaining. Your way is being frustrated. Your way is being angry. And that's what you're always going to do, and that's what you're always going to be, and nothing's ever going to change. What about this? The direction of self-care and health. Now, this is the direction I know I need to do a little bit better in myself. And I'm always talking, but I know I got to stay off the chicken a little bit. I know I do. I got to eat more fruit. I appreciate you, brother. I sure do, saying, I sure appreciate your ministry right there. I do. But I know I'm getting a little bit older. I got to lay up off the grease a little bit. You know, my wife has been on me saying, honey, I don't like the way you're breathing sometimes. Now, wait a minute. Y'all better grow up. Grow up. Grow up. I'm sleeping a little hard. I'm snoring a little bit too loud. I didn't do that at first. Now she's like, baby. And she got smart. She recorded me one time. Yeah, I'm telling it. She recorded me one time. Because I didn't believe her. I didn't believe her. And she recorded me. And I'm sitting there saying, whoa, that does sound like, that's me? Sound like a grizzly bear. I ain't gonna talk about you because y'all too sensitive. I'm not gonna talk about it. I'm gonna talk about me. See, y'all can laugh at me. Yeah, y'all can laugh at me. I'm gonna let you laugh at me. Yes, Lord. See, because you can laugh about those practical things, but one thing you can't laugh at is my spiritual life with Christ. You can't laugh at that because that's real. But I got to do better with my health. And so, I've been getting to the gym sparingly. My son took me to the gym I think it was last week. And I was there, I'm telling you, but your boy can run still. Oh, yeah, your boy can still go a little bit. I'm breathing a little harder, but I can still go. I said, I can still, I was on that treadmill. I said, ooh. I said, yeah, my second wind kicking down, feeling good. But oh, the next day. See, when I was at the gym, there was a way that seemeth right to me. But that wasn't the right way. I should have took it a little slower, yeah. I shouldn't have put on so much weight. You know, you get to the gym, you feel good, you lift the weight, you say, oh, I can lift that. Woo, I can lift that. I can move that weight a little bit. I should have went lighter. I knew the right way, but I was going about a way that was wrong. See, I'll let y'all laugh at me. I'll let you laugh at me because let me tell you why. Because in my experiences, I realized that sometimes my way is not always the right way. My way is not always the right way, but let me tell you something. I know who has the right way. I know how to get a hold of who has the right way so that I can be an example of being connected with someone who knows the way because I don't always know it. Hello, somebody. Amen. But I'm going somewhere. Watch this. So help me change directions. Give me about 15 minutes and I'll be out your way. Help me change directions serves a twofold meaning. It means help me get it right so I can stay right. Because the truth is it right here. Because the truth is my right isn't always right. Help me change directions is that I need to get right so I can stay right because I realize that my truth is not always right. And when you are conscientious of the fact that your truth is not always right, I believe then that you are an individual that's actually headed down the right path. If you are a person who always thinks you're right, you're arrogant. You're unteachable. Because many of you know, I go by the saying, you can't tell nobody that know everything, anything. Because a person that knows everything to me is a dangerous person. Proverbs 10. Let's get some scripture. Proverbs 10 and 9. Walk with me. Proverbs 10 and 9. The way of the Lord is strength to the upright, but the destruction shall be to the workers of iniquity. Let me explain that. See, the righteous people of God knows that following God's way is a way of strength. It is a way to righteousness. But those who live a life of sin, it's a way of destruction. 14, as we had just read, there is a way that seemeth right unto the man, right unto a man, but the ends thereof are the ways of death. Saying the same thing, just a couple of chapters over. The way of the Lord is the strength to the upright, but the destruction shall be to the workers of iniquity. Let me tell you though, those who choose not to follow God, those who choose to do things by their own or live by their own standard are people who are destructive. And they not only destroy themselves, but they destroy everyone around them. Have you ever been around a destructive person? The way they talk is destructive. Every move they make is destructive. Every time you connect with them thinking that they've changed and they have not changed, it destroys something. Let me tell you something, saints. You have to be careful of destructive people because destructive people really only have one goal: to destroy everyone around them. Destructive people don't really care about you as they say. Destructive people don't love you as they say. They're only there to satisfy themselves and no one else. And they don't care who they hurt. They really don't care. We have to be careful that we're not destructive people. Iniquity, what is iniquity? Iniquity is simply defined premeditated wrongdoing, premeditated wrong thinking. You already planned to do wrong. You're just waiting for the day to come to do the wrong. Go to Proverbs 13 and 15. Good understanding giveth favor, but the way of the transgressor is hard. A transgressor is similar to a person of iniquity. Iniquity means I planned to do wrong. A transgressor, I didn't have no common sense and just did wrong. Hello, somebody. Transgressors, I didn't mean to do wrong or I didn't know it was wrong. How many of us have been caught up there? Many of us are caught up here. I didn't mean to do wrong, but I did wrong. A person that is full of iniquity are your bank robbers. You're the ones who commit theft. See, they planned on it. They were waiting to do wrong. They set it up. We're going to go at this time, we're going to do it this way, and we're going to get this much, and that's the way it's going to be. Those who end up in transgression is, I really didn't mean to do it, but I did it, and I'm sorry that I done it. But watch this. But if you're not careful, and you just always end up doing stuff that don't make no sense, your life is hard. Many of us who have grown up or lived a hard life, you lived a hard life because you kept hard company. Let me say that again. Many of you that has dealt with life being hard is because you kept hard company. You never made decisions on your own. You were just one that was just a part of the group. Being a part of the group is hard because you're never making the decisions. Being a part of the group is difficult because you're subject to doing what you don't really want to do. But you cannot not do it if you don't want to be the person that is the party pooper of the group. You missed that. Matthew 7:14. Because straight is the gate, and narrow is the way, which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. Let me read that again. Because straight is the gate. There's no other way. That this is Jesus talking, the way to heaven. Straight is the gate. That means that the path is not wobbly. It doesn't go too far to the left or too far to the right. The path to God is straight. There's not more than one way to get there. There's only one way to get to God. It's not I do a little bit of this because eventually I'll end up back where I'm supposed to be. I know that's the way we talk in church at times. Well, God, at times, we may veer to the right, but God always brings us back to the left. Really? I would venture to say that's improper teaching because if I'm going right, I've got to eventually stop going the wrong way. See, what we don't talk about is that we don't talk about if we're going the wrong way, you have to first stop moving to be redirected back to the right path so that you can now go straight. Taking the idea that I can go right and maybe live life long enough to eventually go back is wrong. Because as long as I'm going the wrong way, if I never want to hear right, I'm going to continue to keep going wrong. Eventually, I got to stop what I'm doing that's wrong first. Let me say this, church. This is why, you hear me say this, you cannot want to be a part of ministry and you're still doing wrong. Or a leader in ministry, let me say that. Let me be more clear on how I'm putting it. I'm not saying that we're not going to be imperfect. I'm not saying that we're not going to make wrong decisions. I need you to hear me on this. But what I'm saying is that eventually we got to get to the point where we stop doing the wrong and start doing right. We can't keep wrong, end up right. Because Dad always said this, 2 wrongs don't make a right. But what we do, saints, is that we start creating another gospel that's not gospel. Let me say that again. What we do in church is we start creating gospel that's not gospel. Or better yet, we start writing a Bible that ain't really the Bible. Teaching people improper that eventually your wrong is going to end up right. It cannot. Wrong is wrong and right is right. If you're going the wrong direction, you got to stop in order to know where the right direction is and then start going that way. This is not driving a car where we're in Texas where you start from one end in a circle just going around. Life is not a circle, it is a straight path. Hello, somebody. We don't make 360s, we make 180s. Meaning that we were going one way in our life and we now make a turn. To go in a 360 means you're going back to where you began, you end up where you started. If we are people that were wrong and go in a different direction, we're not going to end up where we started if we make a 180. Hello, church. What am I teaching? I'm teaching that, saints, in order to get it right with God, we have to stop sinning and start doing the right thing. Eventually, we got to start calling sin, sin, and right, right. Eventually, in church, in the body of Christ, we have to start telling people that what you're doing is wrong. And we have to stop coloring it up like a kindergarten coloring book. We have to stop trying to make it light. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you, I don't care what you do to liver. Liver tastes like liver. Now, there are many that like liver. I don't like liver. I done had liver in gravy. I done had liver fried. I done had liver with rice and beans. Guess what, y'all? It still tastes like liver. What about castor oil? Anybody remember castor oil? Mama used to put lemon in it. Honey, I don't care what you put in castor oil. It's still castor oil. Why are we so fixed on trying to color up sin? So you don't hurt somebody's feelings? So you don't make it seem like it's bad or it really ain't that wrong? Or this is what we do, because people who view or think like this, well, how could there be a God who is loving if you have a religion that condemns people to hell? Our faith don't condemn people to hell. People condemn people to hell. And God doesn't send nobody to hell. Our Bible don't teach that. Our Bible teaches us that you decide to go because you decided not to follow him. That's the right teaching. God doesn't send nobody to hell, you do. If I go to hell, God didn't send me there. Jesus didn't send me there. I decided not to go because I didn't want to listen to how the way to get to heaven. Oh my gosh. Why? Because God's way seems to be a little too difficult for me. When did treating people right become hard to do? When did not stealing from people, murdering people, lying to people become hard to do? How come you just can't stay in your bed? How come you just can't stop lying? Lying is hard to do. It's hard not to do. It's hard not to lie. Really? It's hard not to kill somebody. For real? Actually, it's kind of easy. I don't want to kill you. Let's live. It's not hard. Living for God, living saved, it ain't fun. What's not fun about it? Go out and breathe the air. Go watch the water flow on a lake. I'm fishing so much I got me a boat just so I can be on the water and not just look at it but be on it. Because I ain't Jesus, I can't walk on it, obviously. So I found a way to get on it. Go take a walk. I don't understand how we make it seem as if serving God is just so difficult. It is not. Living right is not. The way of the transgressor is hard. It's hard being a liar. You've heard me teach this before, because making up one lie, you got to lie to cover the other lie, and you got to lie triple to cover up the lie you just told from the lie you just told. That's too hard. I got to remember what I said. I got a good memory, but I ain't that good. Let me tell you something. Fighting, I don't want to fight. Fighting hurts. Have you ever been in a fight before? It hurts. I don't care if you win. It hurts. It hurts. That's not hard. Tina Turner said, I don't care who's wrong or right. I really don't want to fight no more. Ain't that what she said? Oh my gosh. Let me help you. Don't go here, but I want to, Genesis chapter 3, don't go there, but Genesis chapter 3. I want to give you three situations about a way that seemeth right unto them. In the garden, you know the story. Adam and Eve. The serpent was the most subtle or the smartest creature that God created, and the serpent talked to Eve. That's our story, right? And began to convince her that what had been instructed or told by God not to do, go ahead and do it, because God doesn't want you to do it, because if you did do it, you become like him. And because in her heart, she had already desired it anyway, the convincing really wasn't that difficult, because her heart had already been compromised. She just had to hear it from her perspective while looking at what she had already desired. Didn't I tell you last week that when it comes to seeming right, or what you feel is a way that is right, is based on you being compromised in your heart, based on how you perceived it through your sight and how you got someone to agree with what you were thinking already. She was deceived not because the serpent was that good. Don't miss the moral of the story. She was deceived because it was already in her heart. She just didn't do it because her husband wasn't going to do it. Timothy, 1 Timothy, Paul talks about in 1 Timothy chapter 2, don't go there, that it wasn't the man that was deceived. Now, what made Adam the problem is because he was right there. That's what made it the problem. The way that seemed right unto her, that I want to be like God. Yeah, you're right. You know what? Serpent, thank you so much for agreeing with me. This is the way my life really should be. And based on that, now we're going to finish Proverbs 14:12. For the ends thereof are the ways of death. Whenever you travel down a way that God did not approve of, it always ends in death. And when Eve and Adam bit of the fruit, which caused disobedience to God, the Bible said their eyes were open. Don't miss the interpretation, meaning that they were shameful for what they had done. Their eyes being open means they became aware. They became conscientious that they broke the law. And when they saw nakedness before wasn't wrong, nakedness didn't become wrong until they disobeyed. Through their disobedience, now shame came in, and now they sowed leaves about them. The disconnection was a spiritual death, because when God was asking him, where are you? It means that the tie had already been severed. When they began to go about eating the fruit in their way, according to the way that they saw it was good for them, there was a spiritual death that happened. That spiritual death came about the beginning of now natural dying. Understand this, it's not a hard concept in theology, that before sin entered into the world, human beings were to live eternally. But now, through disobedience to God, now human beings die a spiritual death, now die naturally. I have a theory. I'll throw it out here just to cook your noodle. Did the age of man start at the beginning of creation, or did the age of man start at the beginning of disobedience? Joshua chapter 6 and 7, the battle of Ai. God told the children of Israel, when you go down and fight in that battle, don't touch nothing of the accursed. Don't take it for yourself. Don't do that. You get rid of everything. You only bring back the money and stuff for the treasury of God. You don't do nothing. Achan, or Achan, in the Hebrew name, he is a part of the battle, and he goes and he decides that he's going to take some for himself. And he took it and he hid it in his house. He took what God said was a curse and hid a curse in his house. Ooh, I'm going somewhere. He put a curse in his house based on God saying, don't bring that curse to my nation. Israel is going out to battle under the instruction of Joshua. They go out to fight. Joshua only sends out a few thousand men because God didn't have to send a whole army out when he was behind them in a fight. Oh, glory to God. And so in the fight, they began to lose the battle. And Joshua, who was not used to defeat, was wondering, why are we losing? Why are my men dying? They're dying, and now Joshua falls into a sudden depression. He is falling down on his knees. He's crying. He's wailing. God, we have never experienced this before. God says, Joshua, get up off of your face whining. Get up off your face out of stress. Get up off your face out of depression. You have got a curse in my house. Joshua got up. And God said, this is what I need you to do. He said, I need you to sanctify yourself and sanctify the people and pull them all out. And now you go out and I'm going to tell you who it is. Joshua got up sanctified, told the saints to get sanctified. And they walked out, and all of a sudden God led Joshua to who it was. And he said, Achan, he said, you better tell me the truth and don't lie to me. What did you do? He said, I took the accursed things. Most of us have got some curses in your house. And you brought the curse to your house. And you wonder why everybody mean and angry. You wonder why there's fighting around your house. Who brought it to your house? Who brought it into your house? I know that our families are going through some stuff, and I'm telling you, even our churches are going through some things where we've even got some cursed situations even in our church, and that's why our churches don't grow. That's why our churches are split. That's why there's messed up things going on in church, because we've got curses in the house. And God says, I can't cause you to win this battle, Joshua, until you get rid of the curse. It wasn't until Joshua identified it, and guess what? The decision of Achan did not just destroy him, but they killed his whole house. The decisions that you make don't just only affect you, church. Let me tell you something. Many of us have made decisions that are affecting your house. It's affecting your children. It's affecting your grandchildren. It's affecting everything about you. You can't get it right on your job. You can't get it right in your extended family. You can't get it right in your ministry because you've got some stuff in your life that is a curse. Saints, why am I talking like this? Because in your house, anything goes. There is a way about your home that goes any way. So then when we got different spirits running through our home, you don't have the Spirit of God in your house to defend you from those devils that are coming in your house. Ooh-wee. Because there's no prayer in the house. There's no worship in the house. Oh, I'm telling you, God is dealing with me on this. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you, God is dealing with me on this. I said, Lord, wait a minute. I'm supposed to be talking to people. Wait a minute. God says, God says, I need to deal with some things. Let me tell you something, saints. See, God just don't just deal with y'all. He deal with the preacher too. God just don't deal with one house. He deal with all the church houses. Houses around the globe that say they worship the name of Jesus, that's got some things going on in their house. And let me tell you something. Some of us pastors has got to clean some stuff up. Yeah, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. I will admit it's uncomfortable. But God says you can't win until you start removing things that are not right. Saints of God, what's in your life or what's in your house that you got to remove? And I know it's uncomfortable because you have been doing it so long because it has been your way, but it's killing your family. It's killing your house. It's killing your kids. I said, God, don't allow the sins of my past to destroy my children. God, don't allow the sins that I messed up to mess up my marriage or to mess up my situation. God, don't allow nothing that I'm doing in my life to destroy me. God, help me to walk as a man of integrity, that I'm not a bad example even unto the leaders or to the church members that I'm preaching over. Says to God, you don't understand the importance of living this life the right way because you don't want to be the stumbling block that causes someone not to know Jesus. You don't want to be the reason why people don't want to come to church. You don't want to be the reason why people don't want to know God. You don't want to be that reason. And saints of God, I'm living my life the best I can because I don't want to be one that'll get up here and preach and lie and falsify and hypocrite and lead somebody away from God. No, I want to live a life that leads people to God, that leads people to the truth, that leads people to righteousness. When they say, when I heard Wilson walk or when I heard Wilson preach, he led me to God, not away from God. I don't want to live a life and have a testimony. I don't want to live a life where 10 or 15 years from now, some gossip come up about me. I'm talking about when I go to see Glory, when I go to see Gina, I want it to be said, all the days of that man's life, he lived for God. All the days of that man's life, all he did was preach and be an example of what it means to be right before God. That's the life I want to live. I don't want you questioning me. I don't want you thinking ill about me. Let me tell you something. I'm not really worried about you as much as I'm worried about God. I don't want to die and get up in the glory and he look at me and shake his head in pity. You got to understand something that is real in the spirit realm. You think that those that are in hell don't see glory? Oh, yes, they do. The Bible declares that they do. Jesus talks about this, that the rich man with Lazarus, y'all remember the story? When the rich man had food on his table, and watch this, and the poor man had, which was Lazarus, had nothing, that the rich man died and went into eternity without God, and Lazarus, the poor man, went into glory. And the Bible says that the rich man, as he was down away from God, he said that it was hot there, and he looked into the bosom of Abraham, meaning that they can see there. He said, can you tell him to dip his finger in a pool of water to touch my tongue so I can talk? And he said, can you send somebody to tell my brothers not to come to this place? And the Bible said, he said, he's not going to come where you are, and you can't come where he is, for there are prophets out there that are preaching unto them. Let them hear him. Those that are in eternity without God, that are in hell, they can see. They can see where they can never get to. See, the torment is not just how hot it is. The torment is I can never get out of what I see that's good. Imagine being in eternity in a dark place and you can see heaven and you can never get there. See, the cursing of God, of those that are in eternal hell, is to blame him for them being there. But he had nothing to do with that. Can I help your theological mind out? Let me help your Bible understanding that the reason why you don't want to be there in eternity, because you don't want to be looking throughout all eternity of what you missed. The third point is David. Can I talk about David? David is the other reason why you got to change your way. David in the springtime, 2 Samuel, where the kings go out to battle, David was supposed to be out at battle. But David didn't go to battle. David stayed at home. I venture to say, if we really come to the story, David had gotten so cocky because David was so great at war. He was one of the greatest tacticians Israel ever had. David had gotten so good with war. I'm not going to with war. My soldiers are some of the best ever. The king goes out to the porch with no intention. He's walking on this porch, just enjoying him being king. But he notices something. He sees a woman bathing. He says, huh? He sends the messengers to go get her. But see, the thing is, we only talk about David. But you ain't talked about her. Because she could have said, I'm not going. But he's the king. I got to go when the king summons me. And so she goes, and her and the king lie with each other while her husband is out in war, where David should have been in war. She sends a word back, I'm pregnant. David says, we've got to fix this. So David figures out a way that seemed right to cover his mess. But Uriah is a righteous man. Uriah gets summoned back to the king, that the king got to talk to you. He goes and sees the king, and the king says, Uriah, you've been a good soldier. I'm paraphrasing. Go on and relax and go home. Because when you're at battle, you have battle at weeks or months at a time. So typical for a man who has been in battle, you go home and you enjoy the pleasantries of being a husband. Uriah doesn't go home. He lays on the king's porch and falls asleep. King gets up and said, wait a minute. They said, King Uriah didn't go home. See, the king's decision wasn't just affecting him. He even had people lying for him. Uriah didn't go home. The king says, no, I need him to go home. So the king brought him in, created food for him, got him drunk, hoping he'd go home. Uriah did not go home. Uriah couldn't stand the fact that his brothers are out there fighting. And how dare could he go home and enjoy what his brothers couldn't enjoy? The king, so stuck in his foolishness, tells his captain, get him and put him on the front line. And put him in the heat of the battle. That's what the King James says. In another version it says, put him out there where the mighty men are. And then when he gets there, leave him. The king set up his own man to cover his lie. Y'all not hearing what I'm saying? God got so upset because Uriah got killed. God sent the prophet. Consider me your prophet today. God sent the prophet and said, go tell him a story. The prophet goes